Welcome to another episode of Sittin Courtside. Today is Wednesday, March 23rd. We are officially in the Sweet 16. And if you can see me on camera, maybe for the first time ever, got myself some ice cream for the occasion.
It's a special occasion.
So sweet.
I love it. I love it. You didn't make the shirt though, so instead you brought the ice cream for the Sweet 16.
No, jelly let me down, but I got my ice cream. Don't you worry.
But yes, an absolutely great first weekend. Not as many huge upsets in the first two rounds, but we did have some epic ones to make it to the Sweet 16. What I do want to think we should go through is just talk about the first couple of rounds from the tournament, see what we can kind of take forward from what we've seen, kind of talk about what we've talked about in previous podcasts and how that should have probably warned us for what we did see over the weekend. But first and foremost, I just want to start with this because my conference has taken a lot of beating this year. The ACC, everyone says it's down. Everyone said that they're no good. They are combined 5-2. They should be 6-1. Notre Dame blew it at the end, but they have three of their five teams in the Sweet 16. 3 of 5. That's more than the Big Ten, who had 8 teams in the tournament. So I just want to give a little credit to the ACC.
They had 9 teams in the tournament.
9 teams. Yep, even better. Even better.
So is the ACC the Pac-12 this year? They're going to be like the conference no one likes, but they end up with like 4 teams in the Elite 8?
I think so. I mean, 2 out of the 3 are favored, and then the other one's just a 1-point dog right now. So
what is it? Is it Miami, Iowa State?
Yep, Miami, Iowa State.
Oh my gosh.
Duke, Texas Tech. Depends what book you're looking at there. It's been hovering right around even -1 right there, and then UNC, UCLA.
All right. Well, you said something there with conferences, so I'm going to just bring up one of my key takeaways right out the gate. ACC, they're doing great. All right. But me and you, we live in Big Ten country. Big Ten continues to disappoint in the tournament. Or do they? I think they're getting a bad rap unfairly to them. Okay. Michigan, okay, who was the 8th seed in their tournament, who no one thought should even be in the tournament at all, has found their way in the Sweet 16.
Yep.
I think if anything, what we have found maybe is that the Big Ten just beats each other to death. To the point by when you get to the tournament, you're so exhausted from what is already a full season.
Mm-hmm.
You're dead. You're dead in the water. But also, I think we need to look at the matchups. There was some pretty bad matchups for those Big Ten teams. I mean, Illinois against Houston. Houston was in that Ken Pom group we talked about last episode. Like, they're a good team. We talked about them. Wisconsin playing Iowa State. Obviously, it wasn't going to be obvious they had to play them, but the chance of having to play them, a team that plays exactly like them.
Yeah,
really good
the work style that they could play against. Yeah.
Right? Iowa. That maybe is a head scratcher, but Richmond did beat a very good Davidson team.
And that point guard, man, he just took over that game. He ran the entire offense, slowed the game down. He controlled Iowa completely that game.
Right. And then you got some other teams that probably weren't really expected to make it much farther past the first weekend, like Michigan State, Indiana, things like that. But Indiana, talk about a disappointment.
Yeah.
A disappointment to the state of Indiana. I do think they're heading in the right direction, though. Don't get me wrong, but yikes.
Yep.
Yikes. And I do think the reason why they got beat so badly is another point that I have, but I'll hold on to it. I want to get your takes for the rest of from the first weekend.
Yeah, I do want to talk about one quick thing. When you said they beat up on each other in the Big Ten, I don't think anything more can be said about Illinois. They were in the top 20 all season in offensive efficiency. They produced 54 and 53 points in there. Like, they had nothing. They were just gassed. When I saw that initial line against Houston, I was like, Illinois, they should be able to keep this close. They shouldn't be like the 4-point dogs that they were. It's like, the minute I started watching, I was like, nope, Houston's in a whole different athletic. They are not gassed at all, like territory. This is not going to be a good game for Illinois.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. So my biggest takeaway is from the first 2 rounds of the tournament is elite defense has been the story so far in the tournament. Maybe not keeping the scores as low as possible, like especially with the North Carolina games. But out of the 16 teams left, 11 of them are in the top 40 in defensive efficiency. And of the other 5 that aren't in there, it's Duke, Purdue, North Carolina, Michigan, Miami. All those guys have offensive studs. So if you don't have an elite defense and you came into this tournament thinking we're just going to be a well-balanced team, we don't have stars, but we have good role players, you're out of the tournament. You're not even in this thing anymore. Elite defense or having stars across the board, whereas the only way you're getting into Sweet 16, unless you're St. Peter's.
You are, oh my God, I'm so excited right now. I actually took the contrarian point of view though.
Oh,
My
okay.
thing is offense is king.
Oh, okay.
When you run one, run one,
Yeah.
the big boys, Kentucky, Kansas, obviously Kansas didn't lose, Arizona, Duke, all these massive blue blood schools that have tons of NBA talent, they don't run an offense. They
That's
play
true.
pity paddle basketball out there and hope that somebody can figure it out. Look at Auburn.
Mhm.
Auburn had the most disgusting last 3.5 minutes of offense I've ever watched in my entire life. They come down the floor, they make one pass, and somebody take a 27-footer. No
true.
sense. If they just ran an offense through their players, they would have scored 20 points in the last probably 5 minutes of that game and won by at least 8.
Mhm.
The teams that ran offenses won games, and I think that was more apparent in the overtime period between Kentucky and St. Peter's than ever before. St.
Yep.
Peter's was calm, collected. They knew the moment was there. It didn't matter if it was Kentucky or if it was someone in their own conference. They ran their offense, they got to the foul line, and they made their free throws. Kentucky played pity paddle basketball that they play over at Rucker Park and missed their free throws. That was what I thought was the biggest takeaway, honestly, from it all, is if you run an offense, you can figure it out. Even if you're playing an elite defense, which comes back to my St. Mary's point that I was holding on to.
Mhm.
Indiana was the best defense in the Big Ten, a top 20 efficient defense. They play really good defense, and they did for an entire half of basketball. And then what happened? St. Mary's, calm, collected, kept running their offense over and over and over again. And the line in the sand where I knew Indiana was in trouble, early second half, they come out 1 point guard, 4 high on offense for St. Mary's.
Yeah.
They have the guy come across the court. He makes a cut up to the elbow, and literally all he did was he just ran down, ran around his center, made a big loop-de-loop 360, and went right back to the goal, wide open. No one standing there, and the guy who was Klopp, number 12 for Indiana, he followed him like a baby following a piece of candy. Like just watching that in real time, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of it all, where my eyes just opened up and realized these small schools play offense the way it was meant to be played, and these big schools are acting like it's the NBA, and that'll work sometimes, but not when you're in a tight game.
No. Something else I noticed that I had to do research on it because I was like, we mentioned Ken Palm a lot, but I also mentioned strength of schedule a lot because some of these teams, they just don't play like the strength of schedule, and we think they should get in the tournament. And so some teams that made the tournament that had a strength of schedule outside the top 100, Loyola, Murray State, who else? There's Vermont, UAB, all teams that were people picked to make those big upsets. Nobody made the big upset. They're all out. There's not a single team besides St. Pete in the final 16 that had a strength of schedule worse than 100. So the teams that were tested throughout the season, yes, we have outliers like obviously Alabama and Texas, they're out, but the best teams that won their conferences and they played the hard strength of schedule, they're still sitting around, while all those teams that we liked to be the underdogs, the upsets throughout the season, we liked the conference play, we watched them all the time, they didn't really live up to it. And I don't think you can go anywhere further without mentioning the Mountain West. Yes. Wow, what a letdown. 0 for 4 in the first round. Wyoming lost in that playing game. San Diego State, Colorado State, both completely fumbled their games away. An absolute terrible showing for the Mountain West when they finally get 4 teams into the tournament.
And I seen this the other day. I don't think they've had anyone in the second round since 2014.
Yeah, it was pathetic.
A historically long run. I think the last team to make the second round was New Mexico State with your boy Alford.
Okay, New Mexico then.
New Mexico. Sorry, the Lobos. The Lobos. You're right.
Alford.
State is Aggies. You're right. Yeah. It's been a minute. You talk about though things that we should have known in those strength of schedules. 2 teams that lost, actually all 3 teams that lost, that many people had probably in their final 4, if not several had them picked as the champion. Kentucky.
Mhm.
I know more people, including myself, lost the Final Four team than probably ever before, which is why there wasn't a single perfect bracket come Saturday.
Mhm.
They were the most inconsistent team, I think, besides these two other teams that I'm about to tell you. Because at times they look like world beaters. And they
Mhm.
beat Kansas by 20 in Lawrence, best team in the country by far. Then they turn around and they can't buy a basket against Tennessee and get walloped. Yes, it was at Tennessee, and that was what helped us out, thinking that maybe it was just because it was at Tennessee,
Mhm.
but inconsistent.
Yep.
Baylor, inconsistent. Top defense, very, very well challenged when it came to the games they had to play this year. But at times their offense was non-existent. They were winning games, 43-40. It was disgusting. And then a team that came on late that me and you never were believers in, so it wasn't a heartbreak to me when they were gone. Iowa,
Yeah.
so inconsistent. If anyone
Yeah.
listened to this show, they would have not fallen for putting Iowa in their Final Four.
Yep. 100%. What's the one other thing I wanted to say? What was the first team you talked about? Oh, the SEC team. So
Yeah.
SEC, they had 6 teams in the top 30 of Ken Palm, and we were talking about how like that conference just is so top loaded. It's so good all season. They're down to just Arkansas, and Arkansas easily could have lost either of their first 2 games, which they were favored. I mean, whew, SEC, whew.
However, the Must Bus did the same thing last year.
Yeah,
So they've been here before.
Yeah.
I think if anything, what people need to realize about college basketball, the one and done is dead. It does not work. The new fad is the transfer portal.
Yeah.
That will help only so much. What I think it actually has done is it's actually made the little guy just a little bit closer to those blue blood schools, because you have guys like Sousa, who played at Chattanooga.
Yeah.
They made that a game against Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get guys like that maybe didn't have a good showing their freshman year that everyone thought was amazing. Then, Kansas reloads up. He's looking at himself going, I'm going to go somewhere else where I'm going to play all 40 minutes, average 32 a game, and still get exposure, because now there's the internet. I don't have to play in Lawrence 30 times a year to get exposure, right? Like, I think the gap is getting a little bit closer now with the transfer portal, but we'll see if that pays off, because Houston, that's what they did this year, loaded up on the transfer portal. Let's see if it works out for them.
Well, we have some blue bloods that actually got freshmen to return, like UNC, UCLA. They had people return. Purdue had people return.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see these bigger schools actually get people to commit to their programs for at least 2 years. So.
Speaking of returning, did you see Jabari Smith?
I did not. Did he commit or did he not?
He said he is undecided.
Undecided.
Which that's something you say at the press conference. Afterwards. No, he said this even after the press conference. Well, you didn't have anyone in front of your face. You're just telling everyone to tell them. So
yeah,
we'll see. I know the big thing for him was he wanted to go to college basketball and win a national championship. That's what he wanted to do, but it's going to be tough. He's the number 1 pick.
Yeah, he's got to be the number 1 pick.
So we'll see. But anyway, interesting when you say, coming back.
And I wanted to talk about 2 teams specifically, and then we can go into more like analysis on the Sweet 16 if we want to. But Miami, they're playing the Sweet 16. If you watch them all season, they were all offense, no defense. Like, remember, they were like one of the worst rebounding teams in the nation. They've shot under 20%. They only hit 1 3 in their first game. They're shooting under 20% from 3 right now, and they're favorites to make the Elite 8 in their game. So they've not been playing their normal style. They've been getting a lot of steals, which they have been good at, but they're actually playing a lot better defense. And then, of course, I can't go this far into the podcast without mentioning them. Everyone doubted Providence in round 1. South Dakota State, everyone took, and now let Providence in the Sweet 16. Just like all year, how we pushed them on everybody. Go Friars.
Yeah, that was a can't lose situation for me. It literally was a can't lose situation. I love Providence is ahead, proving that we were right. At this point, I'm actually doing really well on my brackets, but I've gotten to the point now where it's like I'm just going to root for the team I actually want to win. And I'd love Providence to just keep going here.
That would be a lot of fun.
And another thing you did mention, Miami, I was thinking about this too. They showed the rebounds, right? And that was always my big thing with Miami was like, okay, they're not going to do against USC because USC is so much bigger. Well, then they won. I was like, okay, they figured it out once. They're not going to beat Auburn. They're so much bigger.
Yeah.
There was 7.5 minutes to go in the game. And Miami had only been out rebounded by 10.
Mhm.
A team that small,
Yeah,
I would have guessed they were down, 25 rebounds because that's what they were all year.
Yep.
So to your point, yeah, they're playing way better defense, and they actually are playing way more aggressive. I think that's
Yes.
actually the thing and like
Mhm.
Larinaga, like they were literally up 2 points, about to blow their lead with a minute and a half to go, and
Yeah.
they had to go to a TV timeout, or someone called a timeout. He's over there
Mhm.
dancing. He's like,
Uh-huh.
"Yeah, this is a good time, boys. We're not
Yeah.
supposed to be in this game." Like he's got
Uh-huh.
the boys loose over there in the
Yep.
South.
Yep. It's got to be nice when you have 3 professional guards on your team too.
Yeah,
So.
well, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah. All right. So where we sit right now, we have 3 number 1 seeds remaining. We are very close to only having 2. Arizona survived a thriller in overtime for anyone that stayed up late on Sunday night against TCU. We have 2 seeds remaining. We only have 1 region that went chalk. That was the West: Gonzaga, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Duke. That's the only one that went chalk. Everything else, we have a double-digit seed in all 3 of the other sides. We have a total of 4 double-digit seeds remaining, but 3 of them are from major conferences. So the only real Cinderella here is St. Peter's. Obviously, 15 seed. No one saw them getting here, but Purdue, we've seen them play down to their competition, and St. Peter's has been playing up to anyone's competition right now. So I'll be interested to see there. But I got a trivia question for you.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Only one team so far in this tournament has won by double digits in both their first round and second round game. Can you name that team?
Only one team has?
Yep, only one team. He's thinking.
I know, and the bad part is I'm down to 2 teams and then the complete opposite of each other. I'm down between Gonzaga and St. Peter's, but I feel like Gonzaga only won by 9 in one of their games. At St. Peter's, there's no way they won by double digits against Kentucky because it was overtime. Arkansas didn't. For funsies, I'll go St. Peter's.
Close. They won by 10 and by 6. Gonzaga won by 21 and 4. Purdue, they won by 22 and 10. They're the only 10 was their only one. So no teams had a cakewalk so far. Seeing if you did watch that Texas Purdue game, it was tight with 5 minutes left.
You said that. That was another thing I was thinking too. I forgot to make the note. Like, what happened to the ones?
Yeah.
This has been wild.
Uh-huh.
Like I've never seen ones struggle as much as they have. Like I think every single 1 seed was even like in a game. Besides, I think Arizona maybe by the end of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not used to like all the 1 seeds struggling to beat the 8s and the 9s. Maybe one of them every once in a while because you get like a bad matchup, like a Memphis, where Memphis by far was a top 5 team to start the year and just kind of had injuries and bad luck. Like that made sense. But like Arizona and TCU, Arizona should have won that game by like 20.
Yep. And then Kansas Creighton played out of their mind with their big guy playing in that game. My goodness.
Where did Creighton come from?
I don't know. They had an amazing year.
And they didn't have their freshman either, I don't think. It was their leading scorer.
Yep. And then their big guy got hurt in the first round and he missed this game.
I mean, what is going on? Some Creighton magic over there almost.
Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and dive on into these Sweet 16 games. We're going to kind of give you like what our hedge is. Go check out our Twitter like we've been doing for all the rounds. We'll actually give you our real picks there, but we do have spreads. So we can kind of give you where we're leaning with the over-unders as well. And then we'll kind of just briefly talk about what we think might happen come Saturday and Sunday as well. But the first game is Thursday, 7:09 p.m. Eastern. We got Arkansas, the 4 seed, versus Gonzaga. This is in California, so it's kind of a home game here for Gonzaga.
Center.
Yes, and they are 9-point favorites. The over/under 1 to 55. Get your track shoes on. What do you think goes on here in the first game in the West?
Well, I'll tell you this right now. I was getting myself really excited for an easy over if we get a Gonzaga-Arizona final. But seeing the over/under on this makes me not feel that way anymore because I didn't think we'd see anything close to 155, 156 until we got those 2 teams together. This is a tough one. Gonzaga is much bigger than Arkansas, but I actually think I like the guard play better out of Arkansas.
I agree with that.
Note, he's got elite speed for a basketball player, especially with the ball. But I think that's different. Like you want to talk about like in the NFL, they talk about the 40, but then they talk about game speed. In basketball, it's how fast are you with the ball. I don't really like the 9 points for Gonzaga, especially the way that they've played, specifically against Memphis. Like, I think Arkansas's guards are better than Memphis's guards.
Yep.
The problem is Arkansas has not shot the ball well for a month.
It's so true.
Like, they have not shot the basketball well for over a month now. They've been winning games, though, is the weird part. They're that scary team that kind of keeps sticking around for whatever reason and winning, these games. If right now, gut instinct, come Thursday, if you put a gun to my head, I'm probably taking Arkansas to cover that, not getting anywhere close to that over, because for Arkansas to win that game, they cannot let Gonzaga score probably more than 75 points.
Yeah. So like you mentioned Memphis when you're talking about the comparison here, Memphis, they were built to play it against a team like Gonzaga. Big guys everywhere, athleticism everywhere, but they don't have to worry about Gonzaga's guards beating them off the dribble because neither team had great guards. That being said, like you said, Arkansas is going to have the better guards in this game, no doubt, but that's all they got. Like, that's all they have. So it's going to be, they're going to have to shoot the ball very well. I mean, they're only shooting, 30% on the year from three. So obviously not ideal if you're going to play Gonzaga that way. I am definitely leaning the under here. I would probably side with you on probably taking the points with Arkansas. A little worried about that. Obviously, I don't want to commit to one right now, but yeah, if you're thinking, okay, well, Memphis was a good, not great team for most of the year, and Arkansas is better than them, you had to think they're completely different teams though here. So it's not going to be the matchup that we saw last match. But I mean, if they get going from three, if they get likes going, and obviously the guy you mentioned, what's his name again? Note. Yeah, if he gets going, I mean, he can score with anybody, averaging 18 points per game. But yeah, they're going to have to hit threes more than 30% a clip on Thursday.
And that's why I hate over under so much, because like at any moment, like someone goes off. I mean, we were talking about the other day, like I did a live under on Texas Texas. No, it was Miami and Auburn.
Yeah.
Like it was an easy under. Like I was like, how the math doesn't check out here. And then they scored 15 points in like a minute. And I was like, okay, well, I'm screwed now.
Yep. All right. So there was our leans for that one. We'll move on to the next one on Thursday, 7:29 p.m. Eastern. The 11 seed Michigan. They're playing against the 2 seed Villanova. This will be played in San Antonio, Texas. Much different spreads here. We got Nova -5 and the over under is 135. I mean, I hate this. This one's tough for me because I've been against Michigan in every game and every prop and every over under this whole tournament because I didn't think they deserved to be here, but they're playing incredibly well right now. Dickinson, he's going to be a tough matchup for Villanova. If they have to put Samuels on him, then that's going to be really tough on Samuels because if he gets a foul trouble, we know Nova has no depth. They don't want to go into their bench. I'm going to lean right now definitely with the Nova -5. I've looked at it earlier. It was 4.5, so it's rising right now. Just because if they are ahead at the end of the game, they're the best free throw shooting team in the country. So like in the tournament, every team keeps fouling until the buzzer, no matter what the score is. So you get so many extra points at the end.
Except for Notre Dame.
Yeah, except for Notre Dame. Yes,
I can't believe it.
So I will lead Nova very slightly right now at -5. I don't want to lay anything more than that. But I'm basically just thinking that if I get them at 4.5 or 5, I'm just picking them to win because of the free throws at the end. And I have no idea in this over-under.
Yep, I got you, buddy. So, yes, Villanova -5. They're the same reason I took them at -5 last round because what you just said. They're the best free throw shooting team in the country. If they're up 2 points, just 2, you can bank that they're going to get fouled at least twice, and let's assume that the other team doesn't score their basket down the way. You got 5.5 just like that.
No.
Cover. You got 6 points. But anyway, for the over-under, I got one for you. So I took the over with Villanova, Ohio State. Ohio State at the time, 13th most efficient offense with Villanova. The over-under was 134.5. I actually got it at 132.5 when I locked it in. They 132. That was the total for the game. With a more efficient offense in Ohio State. Michigan, on the other hand, is 19th. So still efficient, but not nearly as efficient. And I think we already know Villanova is going to play good defense. They have experience there. And Colin Gillespie will control the last 5.5 minutes of that game however he sees fit. If they're winning, he'll slow it down and make you foul him. Or whoever else on the team, because they have that advantage. If they're down, they're going to go to the hole, get the fouls, get the points. I personally think because Ohio State was a better offense than Michigan, and Michigan is as streaky as it gets to their offense, take the under 135. Worst case scenario, they come off to a hot start in the first half. You have to hedge your bet a little bit with an additional cover, because I do think Villanova is going this game by double digits. Michigan's magic is over. It's non-existent. They were getting lucky, in my opinion, because they had more talent than the first two teams they played. They will not have more talent than Villanova.
I like that. I like that. Definitely going to lock in the under now on that one. 9:39 p.m. Eastern, Thursday night. Number 3, Texas Tech. The two are against the 2 seed Duke. This is also in San Francisco, California. Currently, the line sits at Texas Tech -1. It really just depends what book you're looking at right now. Over under 137. If you look at these two teams in the Ken Palm, Texas Tech slightly ahead, but if you add up their adjusted offensive efficiency and adjusted defensive efficiency, they end up being the exact same numbers. So we got a true offense versus defense, where one team is amazing at offense and okay at defense. The other team is the best defense, okay at offense. Break this one down.
You can see what's behind me right now for everyone that gets to see the video. Yes, we got some backdrops for you. Kyle, unfortunately, wasn't visible for his. We'll have to figure that out. But we're guns up right now, okay?
Yeah.
We're guns up. Best case scenario is that Texas Tech figures out a way to play that elite defense that they've been playing, because Duke has all the advantages right now. They got better players, better offense, more depth, the NCAA on their side. I mean, what? I mean, everything about this game screams you need to take Duke. Beyond just that, though, like, I do think everyone wants to see Duke Gonzaga rematch again. I understand that. I do. As far as the play, I'll just tell you what I'm doing. And I'm not saying I'm a sharp, but this is the best I can do. Whoever you want, don't make a bet before the game. Hold. See what happens in the first 3.5 minutes, because one of them is going to turn immediately into a plus odds bet for you. And then you hit that line and you ride that baby to the end.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
And I'm not touching the over-under, because God knows what happens in Texas Tech games. They could finish the game 85-80, or they could finish the game 31-37. Like, you never know, so I'm not touching it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're both biased in who we want to win this game here. But
if you had your backdrop right now, it'd be perfect, because it would literally be one on mine. Or here we go. One for me, one for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I am going to go Duke here. It was the worst case scenario when I saw Texas Tech in this bracket, though, because I know Duke does always struggle with Virginia. Virginia, obviously, not what they usually are, and they still lost to them once this year. Mm-hmm. It's a bad matchup, but honestly, what we saw from Duke in that last 5 minutes and in the first half of that game against Michigan State, if those stars just play like together and don't go one-on-one, they can win this game. Obviously, the whole Gonzaga game is a lot different style of game, but yeah, I mean, it's just going to be, does Texas Tech impose their will on defense and get Duke go one-on-one a lot, kind of take Banchero. We've seen it a few times this season where he's kind of just been absent from the game because good defenses double team him right as he gets it and he just passes it out and doesn't do anything. That'll be big here. And what else I think should be watched here is if Mark Williams gets in foul trouble early for Duke. He's the only guy that protects the rim without he's the only guy back there. All the guards get beat off the dribble. Banchero gets beat off the dribble, and he's always there to pick up for him. When he's out, they've really struggled, especially against physical teams. And we know every Big 12 team is physical, so that's something to watch early in the game. But yeah, I like how you handicap this. Just wait to see which team if you're trying to figure out which team to pick, wait to see which one you get plus odds, or eventually it's probably going to be a tight game all game. So just wait till your team is getting plus odds in it. So.
Well, and on the other side of that, too, you talk about other lines when you do props. I'm taking Banchero's under because Texas Tech's two best players play the same positions.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he's what you actually said, like Mark Williams. He's the guy that's going to have to score for them around the rim. Banchero's best option is to float out towards the 3-point line and make those defenders float with them. And then I think the key player of the game actually is Roach.
Yeah.
Whenever he plays, when he plays well, Duke is almost unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like literally every time you see them get a big win, it's not Banchero did well. It's Roach, takes them to victory, had 21 points, 6 assists. Like he is the key to them winning. And that's how it always is, it seems like, with these national title teams. it's never your best player that leads you to the finish. It's one of your key guys that is a matchup night. And that's what Roach is. Because, like I said, he has elite speed with the ball.
Yep.
So I think he's the key to the game.
And what I've seen, one last thing is what I've seen from almost every good defensive team against Duke is when Banchero goes to post up or do like his 15-foot one-on-one, they instantly come and double team him. And that leaves either Griffin, Roach, or Moore open for three. So if you're looking at the over-under, just watch, and you want to wait a little bit, watch to see if they hit their first couple of threes or not. If not, Texas Tech's going to be doing that all game, letting them shoot threes the entire game. So
yeah, and that'll be huge for their defense if Duke can't hit threes.
Yeah. All right, last game on Thursday, real late, 10 p.m. Eastern. The 5 seed Houston versus Arizona, the 1 seed. This is in San Antonio, Texas. Currently, the spread is, let me see. It is Arizona -1.5, over under 145. Honestly, I've been kind of shocked by how these two teams have played so far this tournament. Houston's been looking really good. I thought they might struggle since they did kind of struggle at the end of their conference before they got to the conference tournament. Arizona, I thought, would run right through everybody, especially playing TCU in that second round. Got me a little nervous, but you're always going to have one of those games that you just survive in advance in March, and that's all you really need to do. They've only lost 3 games all season. They spaced those out by about a month in between them. Houston, very good team. If they had Sasser, this would be one of those marquee games. I cannot believe the -1.5 is all. I know it's probably a home game for Houston, but a blue blood in Arizona, their fans are going to travel. It's going to be loaded there. I will take Arizona -1.5. I think Houston's a little bit better defense than this over-under is getting credit for. I know the Arizona game went way over against TCU, but they were playing for catch-up, and it went to overtime. I'm leaning the under, but I'm not that great at over-under, so I'll stick with the Arizona -1.5.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you here. Over-under is going to be tough. Houston's defense, I think, is going to give Arizona problems. Arizona is the biggest team in the country, too, even though they play at the second fastest pace in the country. I think that's going to help them because Houston's guard play is where it's at, not their big men, even though they are big and lengthy. I'll take the over.
Okay.
Just because it seems like Arizona always nails it. And really a -1.5, that's a godsend. I'm probably unloading on that. And not because I have a personal interest in Arizona winning the national title, but because I just love Matherin. He's amazing, has the play of the tournament so far. And I just feel like Arizona feels like that team that if they don't make the Final Four, people are going to be scratching their heads in Tucson, wondering what went wrong.
These last 2 spreads for Houston, they got to be just based off of KenPom, right? Because they're up to number 2 in KenPom now. Houston is actually above Arizona. But I was shocked to see them to be a favorite against Illinois and to only be a 1.5-point dog against Arizona really shocked me too.
I'm telling you, people are buying into the KenPom theory. He's picked 18 of the last 19. Houston is one of those like 5 teams left in it that fit into the analytics of it all. Like they have an efficient offense. They have an efficient defense. They have leadership. Everything that I talk about really would lead you to believe that they should actually be my pick. But I just, if they didn't have that cold streak for like 3 games there, I probably would have had them in my Final Four. But it's hard to trust them now. And then you start talking about Sasser. Golly, you give me Sasser, I'm just like, they're in the title game probably, even with Arizona. Like they're just so good, so well coached.
One little nugget, I don't really know what to do with this, but with the adjusted tempos, Houston 333, Arizona 5, so complete different styles of how quick these offenses are going to go.
But this is the difference, though, is I think that pace will force you to play via the pace. Baylor, North Carolina. Arizona will speed it up. Houston they can try to not play at the 5th fastest pace, but they're going to be playing at the 100th fastest pace, and that's going to lead to points, especially if Arizona starts hitting shots. Then you're forcing Houston to have to play at your pace. That's the key when you play that way. Like you have to hit your first couple of shots. Otherwise, you're going to end up playing the other way around, which is why teams like Wisconsin and Virginia usually are not successful because you're going to play a tournament with at least 6 games. One of them is going to start hitting shots, and you're going to be in trouble if you don't have shooters.
Yep. All right, let's move on to Friday where we have 7:09 p.m. Eastern, 15 seed St. Peter's against the 3 seed Purdue. This is going to be played in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Purdue currently a 12.5-point favorite, over under 135. I mean, huge spread for a Sweet 16 game, a low over under. What do you like here?
Well, St. Peter's, Jersey City, they're not that far from Philadelphia, about 3 hours away. Purdue, obviously, coming from Lafayette. I'll take St. Peter's to cover.
Okay.
It's not because I don't think, like, I think Purdue will win that game. They have the best player on the court. And it's just, we've seen this rendition now a couple times with these really, high seeds or low seeds, whatever you want to look at it. When they make a deep run, they don't lose games by 15 or 20 points.
Yeah.
They stay within, usually you got a foul or two at the end to see if you can get a win. So I'll take them to cover if you ask me to lean a certain way. But Purdue right now, if you have a chance, if you can find it, which I know you can, it's just more or less how you feel, take a future on them to make the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't really have anyone in their way besides potentially North Carolina and UCLA. And they look like the freaking Monstars compared to those two teams.
Well, when you're talking about the future for them, I mean, could you have gotten two better teams for the style of Purdue likes to play? Like North Carolina and UCLA play the style that it was made for this kind of Purdue team. So
literally,
yeah. So I'm going to wait for this one on the spread. If it gets up to 13 or 14, I would prefer 14 because St. Peter's did play Providence earlier this season. They lost by 14, so that just seems like a good kind of like balancing point to get them at. At the 12.5, I'll probably just stay away from it. I'm going to take the over though here because Purdue's just scoring right now, and it's hard to stop them. And I think St. Peter's, if they're going to win this game or keep it close, they're going to have to hit like a lot of threes. And I have a feeling we're going to see a press from like an Ivy up on the point guard. I just feel like we're going to really see Painter try to force the tempo in this game. I don't see how St. Peter's gets a 10-point lead and slows the game down completely. So I will take the over in the 135 because it's not that many points for a Purdue team that is a top two efficiency, but I'm definitely staying away from the 12.5 right now.
Yeah. And I'm looking here. So St. Peter's, I figured their tempo would be a lot faster because they've been running a lot. It seems like in some of these games, 240th in tempo.
Wow.
But how did we miss this? They have the 28th most efficient defense in the country.
Yeah. I saw that
in
today.
the world?
Yeah. I mean, that Kentucky game, though, it got up to 164 points. I know it went in overtime, but you got to think it was well over 135 also, before that.
You talk about strength of schedule. Their non-conference strength of schedule is 56th.
Really? So they played a pretty competitive.
Like literally there in front of our face the entire time. If you, I think the problem was they're playing Kentucky though. Like literally, I think if you did your homework and you're looking at them playing even like, I'm trying to think, I'll just say like an Illinois. Like the numbers probably would have been like they probably can beat Illinois. Like that's kind of shocking how that worked out.
Yeah, they played at VCU, at St. John's, first Long Island, at Providence, at Quinnipiac as their first 5 games. So yeah, they scheduled pretty well there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next game, 7:29 p.m. Eastern Saturday or Friday night. The 4 seed Providence versus the 1 seed Kansas. This is going to be played in Chicago, Illinois, at the United Center. Kansas 7.5-point favorites, over under 141. Just disrespectful. I'm taking Providence plus a 7.5. I don't even need to get stats for it. Over under, I'll let you keep that. What are you thinking here?
All right, so yeah, Providence is covering the 7.5. Over under though, Kansas, they're real funky. We've seen them when they play a very good defense with Texas and they struggle. Those games never get out of the 60s. I like the under here. Because the Providence is not going to play a run and gun style. In Kansas, if you've been paying attention to this, Ababaji, whatever his name is, their guard, their big NBA guard that's supposed to be like a top 10 pick, he has struggled the last past even tournament play. Like this tournament, the Big 12 tournament, games before that, he turns into the Invisible Man, just like you do with your background whenever they get in big games. Like he had 2 points in their last game with like 7 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Like he's gone. I do not like them to score points. And McCormick, their big man, has to be the smallest big man in the country. He's 7 foot tall. He averages 6.9 rebounds a game. Dude, stick your hands next to your ears and you'll probably get 10 rebounds fall into your face.
Yeah, Braun gets more rebounds than him, basically. And
Yeah, I don't get it. And honestly, he's been their best player down the stretch besides their forward, number 21, whose name is escaping me right now.
Escaping me too. Because
he had a double by half last game.
Yeah.
Like Kansas, they're being weird right now. I do love the cover though, and I do love the under 141.5.
Yeah. One thing I love about what just happened with Kansas too is if you're an assistant coach on Providence, you knew pretty much who you needed to scout Kansas, right?
Yep.
Like you probably thought that's who you're going to play if you get Sweet 16. But you also got to see them against Creighton, who you played 3 times this season, so you kind of know like what works against and what doesn't work. Yeah. I really think it worked out really well here for Providence, as well as getting to play Kansas can be. So, all right, next game, 9:39 Friday night. The 8 seed North Carolina versus the 4 seed UCLA. This game will be played in Pennsylvania. Feels like much more of a home game for North Carolina than UCLA. UCLA, though, is 2.5-point favorite, over under another 141.5. Blue blood matchup. Who you got here?
So this is actually a really interesting matchup. So we have the Final Four team in UCLA, basically the exact same team from last year. We got Tiger, point guard for UCLA. Right now, he's the most efficient point guard in the country. He's averaging less than 3 turnovers a game. That's insane. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be playing with probably the best guard he's played against all year. North Carolina, by far, I think, actually has the 5 best players on a singular team than anyone else in the country. And we've seen that they will play all 5 of them the entire game if needed. However, when you get matchups like this, I'm going to lean with experience and coaching. And Cronin, he's been here before. He's an amazing coach. His players have been in this moment before. And for my own personal preference, I do have UCLA going to the next round of my bracket. I'd like some money out of this. I would take UCLA, but I'm probably avoiding anything to do with the cover. And the over is iffy for me. UCLA plays really slow. I don't like the under because North Carolina plays way too fast, and that can get really ugly really quick for you in the first half.
Yeah.
Anything, if you find like a 139, 140.5, jump all over it. 141, 142, 143. I don't necessarily like it because if UCLA gets to play in their tempo, you won't get anywhere close to 140.
Yeah, that's something I've been noticing since they've actually went through a lot of injuries at the end of the Pac-12 season. Is they've slowed down the game significantly, and that's why their efficiency on defense is in top 15 now. I think a huge matchup here, and if you listen to our podcast last season, we mentioned this guy a decent amount because we were always talking about Fat Ronnie, is Johnson for UCLA, the transfer, their only big guy, the transfer from Rutgers. He's going to have the duty of playing against Baycott, and if he can't handle Baycott, then it's going to be a long day for UCLA because they have no size beside him. Cody Riley is probably 6'8" on a good day. He couldn't handle Baycott if he wanted to. So that's going to be something to watch. Can Johnson stay out of foul trouble? It's been something that's kind of plagued him all season. That's why he's only averaging about 19 minutes per game. So I agree with you. I picked UCLA, so I'd like to see them go further in my bracket, make some money here. But the way North Carolina is playing, it reminds me of when they played Duke in that last game where their offense was crazy good. Like you just couldn't stop it. So unfortunately, right now, the way I'm leaning, I might be able to convince myself by Friday night, maybe a beer or two in to bet UCLA minus 2.5. I would be betting North Carolina money line right now. And yeah, the over under, I couldn't bet it right now, not knowing like who's going to be in foul trouble, who's going to, North Carolina is going to be able to continue to roll right now.
That might be one too. It's a chancy thing to do, but you could try to ride it to halftime. The problem, you get a feeling for the tempo, but you might find yourself in trouble if the tempo is really high because it's not going to stick to 141 then. But you might find yourself in really good presence then because you're like, well, at least I didn't get 141 and the half score is 21-19.
Yeah.
However, I think the other thing that really irks me with North Carolina is they were crushing Baylor. The second man it comes out, it's like that team didn't know what to do with themselves. And I get Baylor was an experienced team as well, but like you can't have that. You can't blow a 20-point lead like that. Like if you want me to believe in you, you at least hold it over 15. You can give up a couple points, but like keep a 15-point lead. If it wasn't for Baycott and his intelligence on the floor, they lose that game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was it was epic to see it, just a team collapse when a guy, yes, he's good. Manek was good. He was having a career night, but he hadn't been their star all season.
No, not at all. I was shocked, honestly.
Mm-hmm. All right, last game will be Friday, 9:59 p.m. Eastern, the 11 seed Iowa State versus the 10 seed Miami. Everyone had this one in their Sweet 16.
Oh, yeah.
Playing at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Miami currently a 2.5-point favorite, over under 133. This is one of those clash in styles. We've seen it a bunch already for Iowa State. Got Miami, who's the 18th most efficient offense, and that's coming off of 2 inefficient offensive games in the tournament. And then, of course, we know who Iowa State is. They are an amazing defense that can struggle at times. I mean, they won a game with, was it 54 points against Wisconsin. So they're not going to light up the scoreboard. They've scored 59 and 54. Can they keep Miami down? Miami only scored 68 against a good USC defense. What do you think here?
I think the under is easy here. They haven't scored over 130 points total in any of the Iowa State games. And that 54, second lowest total ever for a winning team. Iowa State, like, their defense is paralyzing. We talked about it early in the year. I don't think any of us thought they were going to be this far after they were so bad on offense. But I'll take the under for sure. I will avoid anything to do with the spread because both these teams have been known to collapse quickly.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, honestly. The under is the easy bet here. If I had to give a lean, I'll stick with betting against Iowa State so far in this tournament because Miami's got the 3 offensive great guards. So if I'm like forced to pick one, and I will be picking one Friday night because, I mean, come on, it's the last game on Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. You're going to be picking something. But I'll probably lean right now Miami, and that's just because they have 3 really good guards. All right, so that's all the games that we have, like spreads for and anything. Did you want to give a prediction for the Final Four, or do you want to wait till we see who we match up with and put those picks out on Twitter?
Would just give who our Final Four teams are right now with the current structure?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I mean, I think I pretty much know who it's going to be because I think I have most of my teams left besides one. But if you told me just to go off how teams are playing right now, so this is not who I think is going to make the Final Four, but who is playing like they should be there.
Okay.
Duke.
Okay.
Purdue.
Okay.
I'll take Arizona because they've not been playing great, but they're my national title pick. So by virtue of principle. And then honestly, Miami. Like Miami's playing really well. Like I think those are the teams that are playing the best right now.
Yeah, if I had to project what I've seen from last weekend, kind of throw out the early season stuff and just go more of what we've seen in the conference tournaments and this tournaments. Unfortunately, I would have to go with Gonzaga here at the top. Then I would go with Purdue to come out of the bottom. On the other side, I would definitely go with Arizona. I like what I've seen from Houston, but just Arizona, I think, just playing, they just have too much talent and they find a way to win every game. And then I'll go with Kansas, but boy, am I going to be pulling for those Friars to be beating them on Friday.
So you talk about Gonzaga. I keep looking at them and I keep watching them play. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Everyone keeps talking about this is an extremely talented team. It's an extremely deep team. I've watched them plenty now, and how? Yeah. Drew Timme doesn't impress me, even though he averages over 20 points a game. I still don't understand what the big hype about him is. Chet Holmgren, first off, your name's Chet. I don't understand why he was the number 1 player in the country. Every time he walks, I'm afraid that his baby bird legs are going to break into 1,000 pieces. And then their guard play. Let's talk about their guard play. I don't average at best. Maybe I'm being over skeptical because of the Gonzaga team I got to see last year, who I did think was extremely talented.
Yeah, I mean that sucks. So yeah.
Yeah, but this year I'm like watching their team. I'm like, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Like if you would have told me to rank my top 25 teams at the end of the year, Gonzaga, I'm not even sure makes the top 5.
Yeah,
like they weren't playing good enough for me to think they're the top 5 team.
Yeah. And I kind of forgot until Georgia State lost their big man and the other one got fouled out. That game was really tight.
Yes.
Like, it's when teams have to double either Timme or Holmgren. That's when it falls apart. Memphis never had to do it because they have a top 10 pick in Durant as well. And that also, now that I'm thinking of it, that matchup, if it's Duke, it'll be a lot better matchup wise than Texas Tech, because Banchero can guard Holmgren, and then you can put Williams on Timmy, and then you don't have to double anybody.
And I think that's why Duke was able to handle them earlier in the year. I don't think it's because Duke had like more experience or anything, and Gonzaga was like, trying to mold together a new team. Like, they match up well with them, especially when you look at it. Drew Timmy is the smallest 6'9", 6'10" man I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure my shoulders are wider than his.
I think you're right.
Like they have tiny, tall guys is what they have.
Yeah.
They play European basketball, and they're playing a bunch of like New York ballers.
Yeah.
Put it bluntly.
All right, I'm in with you now. I'm switching it. I have Duke going there now.
Okay, thank you.
Just thinking through that matchup.
I had to get you to Duke. I had to get you to your own team.
Don't want to put too much on them. All right, well, guys, if you did not see all of our bets, you missed out last week. We had so many bets on Twitter, so make sure you check it out this week. We'll have dozens and dozens every single day of picks, so go check us out on Twitter. Best of luck in your brackets. Hopefully they're still alive. Oh, real quick, do we have any updates on our bracket? Who's winning right now?
Let's do it. I actually just had to pull up a second ago. What was the total number by the way? At the end of it all, what was the total number?
Oh, of people, I do not know that.
I can't tell. So Daisy hit the wrong one.
We had 60 plus. I know that.
It says 60 plus here.
Oh, and look who is up at the top.
Whoa, is that your boy right here?
That sure is.
Who's the king of takes? Oh wait, at king of takes is on my screen. That must be me.
Oh wow! and you're tied with somebody that had Kentucky to win, so clearly you have the advantage.
I'm significantly ahead, basically. Besides Ryan Peoples, shout out you and Purdue Don. Looks like you two are the only contenders as it stands.
Yeah, well, this is pretty epic. I honestly did not know you were in first.
I didn't either. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Well, guys, keep watching it. See if he can take you down, or if you guys can catch up to him. And best of luck in your bets. And we'll talk to you next week to preview the Final Four.
Love you guys.